trans women are to be banned from single-sex spaces under the new EHRC guidance. I'm going to read into this more from the Independent, you guys. So it says here, the Equalities and Human Rights Commission has been criticised by trans right campaigners for its response to the Supreme Court's ruling. So I'm going, rather than, so what I normally do is I give you guys my initial thoughts, but I think it's better that I give you my thoughts as we read through it, because I really do feel like that the voices of trans women have really not been included in whatsoever when it came to these new guidance. Let's just read and go into this, and I will explain as we go along, guys. So, transgender women will be banned from single-sex public spaces under new guidance to be published by the UK's Equalities Watchdog, report says. The Equalities and Human Rights Commission, the EHRC, is set to submit its statutory guidance to ministers this month in response to the UK Supreme Court unanimous ruling that trans women are not legally women under the Equalities Act. New guidance appears to be similar to its interim guidance issued in the wake of the ruling, which has been criticised by trans right campaigners as discriminatory and has seen legal changes launched against it. Yes, it is discriminatory against trans people. This is the fundamental key here. And remember, we did not have a problem before. We never had a problem before. And yet, because of something that happened in Scotland, has opened up this, and a Supreme Court ruling has opened up this massive can of worms. And it feels like, that for me, that the only way that this can be resolved is by taking this to the European Convention on Human Rights and basically telling the UK government here, you can't ignore transgender people. You're taking away their rights. You need to give them back their rights, because essentially their rights are being undermined here. Now, our women's rights obviously do matter, of course, such as men's rights here. But were women being undermined beforehand? Not in my view. But some women will vigorously disagree. So according to the Times, the guidance will mean trans women will be banned from spaces such as women's toilets and changing rooms. So where do they go to the toilet? It will apply to any organisation that provides a service to the public, including schools, shops, hospitals, prisons, leisure centres and government departments. Again, my question is, where are they supposed to go to the toilet? And the other thing is that are you going to basically patrol the toilets now to make sure that every single woman that goes into a woman's bathroom is actually a woman and not a trans woman? Private organisations or charities will also be subject to the guidance if they are providing a public service. It is also reported that it will say transgender people can be excluded from the single-sex sporting competitions. In a published statement, John Kirkpatrick, Chief Executive of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, said the organisation has not yet decided on changes to the draft guidance and is still in the process of analysing draft responses. The guidance will be submitted to Bridget Phillipson, the Women and Equalities Minister, who will approve if she deems it to be in line with the law before putting it before Parliament. And again, you have to remember, trans people's rights were not discussed in any way, shape or form with this. So it's just not fair on them in any way, shape or form, guys. Trans right campaigners have criticised the EHRC for its handling of the ruling, with legal challenges brought against the watchdog over its interpretation of the law. Cleo and Madeline, the campaign group Gendered Intelligence, said if the reports are accurate, it suggests that the EHRC has abandoned its commitment to equalities and human rights and endorsed harassment and exclusion of anyone who doesn't fit in. Yeah, well, this is, and I agree, because you have to think about everybody in this situation. Men, women, trans women, non-binary, everybody's rights need to be taken into consideration here. That's clearly not what's happened here. We're excluding a bunch of people. The proposal seems to be that anyone can be shut down from the toilets and changing rooms at any time unless they carry their birth certificate, she said. We've had many reports from trans people being excluded over the past few months, but also reports from seeing gender women who have been thrown out of service in spaces because they were tall or had short hair. Ultimately, this hurts everyone. But unfortunately, it's also unenforceable. There is no toilet police, and it is not a crime to use the service in spaces appropriate to your gender. Jenny, we now appeal to the Minister for Equality to remember the reason that for her office is to uphold the rights and protections of transgender people with compassion and calm. Yeah, this I've heard obviously stories about people being thrown out of toilets, even on the basis that are of either their tall or short hair or something maybe indifference about them, when in fact that the women are actually actual women but have been thrown out of toilets because they perceive them, other women are perceiving them as transgender women even though they're not. It's pretty disgusting, to say the least. A Stonewall spokesperson said that while trans people are and will remain protected from discriminating and harassment under the law, the draft guidance takes the position of justifying exclusion rather than inclusion of trans people as its starting point. Yep, this is true. It risks creating a hierarchy of rights and a tiering of safety concerns, which are counted to be the intentions behind the Equalities Act 2010, the spokesperson said. The EHRC has received over 50,000 responses to its consultation from businesses, organisations and individuals raising wide-ranging and complicated issues, including incompatibility of the draft guidance with other existing pieces of legislation which will need to be addressed. Good Law Project is one of group that has launched legal action against the EHRC, arguing the guidance goes far beyond for what the Women of Scotland judgment requires. It argues it amounts to a bathroom ban for trans people, violating people's right to privacy in their everyday lives. Following reports detailing the watchdog's updated guidance, the Good Law Project Executive Director Joe Milligan said the EHRC's guidance is subject to a legal challenge. A hearing is scheduled later this year, and the court will decide whether it's compatible with the Equalities Act. Given the evident hostility of the guidance to the rights and dignitaries of trans people, we are confident the Commission will lose. Campaigners have also criticised the EHRC's consultation process, questioning how 50,000 responses could have been analysed so quickly. Yeah, how so? The Good Law Project also wrote to the EHRC, accusing them of ignoring transgender people's views as it uses artificial intelligence to categorise its replies. A spokesperson for the EHRC told The Independent, "We're using a combination of approaches to analyse the response received to our consultation. With more than 50,000 responses received, we have commissioned an external supplier to support us in analysing them. Our approach will involve supervised use of AI alongside our expert legal assessment to ensure a balance of robust, accurate and speed, including promoting consistency and helping avoid bias in managing the scale of response." Look, I don't have a problem with the use of artificial intelligence, but it doesn't mean that it's always right as well. The Times reported the guidance, which is still being finalised, will not say service must provide a single-sex base, but if they do, they must only be used for biological women. It will also reportedly allow services to request birth certificates and make inquiries about a person's birth sex, but this could be discriminatory if not handled in a sensitive way. What's going to have to happen is, I think a lot of places will end up becoming, I think in order for many people to avoid problems, I think they're just going to have to turn into a lot of toilets into neutral toilets. Instead of men and women's toilets, you're just going to, I think you're going to have to start turning them into neutral toilets, because what are they supposed to do in this situation? Because it's not fair. If they don't reverse this, the guidance will also say services need to consider that if there is an alternative for trans people to use, and that in cases such as toilets, it will not be proportionate to leave a trans person with no facilities. The spokesperson said the code of practice has not yet finalised, and we received extremely high volume of responses to the consultation, and we are grateful to everyone who has shared their feedback. To ensure we give these responses to the consideration they merit, we are working at pace to analyse them, and they are amending the draft code of the practice text where necessary to make it as clear and helpful as possible, but our code remains consistent with the law set out by the Supreme Court. Well, I don't think, I hope this loses. I hope it gets shot down, because as far as I'm concerned, everybody matters. Everybody's rights matter here. Women's rights matter. Men's rights matter. Trans women's rights matter. Trans men's rights matter. Non-binary and other gender bases matter. But clearly, some people have been excluded when it came to putting up this new guidance. They've not done a proper job in this whatsoever. Yes, transgender people and trans community are a small population in comparison to others, but that doesn't mean that their rights should not be ignored, that just because there's fewer of them, that they should not be at least spoken to on this situation when it deeply affects them at least, and theirs are not even being spoken to. If it has to, like I said, if it has to, it can go as far as the European Convention on Human Rights. I do believe it can go that far. The government will not win in this. You have to take everyone into consideration. You can't just exclude some. Everyone needs to be brought on board here. Yes, we have to protect women's rights, of course, and protect women's spaces, but we also have to protect trans people's rights and spaces too. And theirs are being ignored in all of this, and that's really, really important. So what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the situation around the EHRC guidance? I don't think it's fair in any way, shape or form, but maybe some of you think differently. Let me know your thoughts and more on all of it down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting and informative, hit that like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't already, check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content, and if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, click the join button down below to become a YouTube member. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.